given the fact that there is a narrative that now exists, one in which we tell ourselves multiple times a day that we have some kind of deficiency and we are in a state of lack, and this is the reason why we are not accomplishing that image of ourselves that we hope to be. Once it becomes ingrained within our psyche, it is as it becomes literally woven within our identity, and it affects everything we do. And we're not even aware of how many times we are self-sabotaging ourselves because of this narrative. And yet for many of us, we don't know how to stop this narrative. But if we were even to think about the rules of Lashon Hara or the rules of Shemra, this would really be no different. We are repeating something that either does or does not have merit, but we're repeating something that is so damaging and it's causing irreparable harm, and it's a statement that we don't even realize how often it is interfering with our day-to-day life and our interactions with other people. So when the Rabbanim state that women cannot be counted in a minyan, they don't have to put on talis or tefillin, this narrative now resurfaces and it incites this anger, and sometimes we don't even know what's the root of this anger, only that we know it's there. And so then we see this phenomenon of women who are so set in fighting against this voice in a way, they're channeling it in a way that is still not getting to the root of what the problem is. And what the outcome of that is that we as women in this generation seem to be missing the mark when it comes to being that true Ashes Hayil, or that woman of valor. And I think for many, we no longer know what that looks like. And so, like many women, once we are aware that such a narrative exists, we are still looking, and sometimes we're looking in all the wrong places, looking, how do we become what we know we were meant to be? But Shir HaShirim offers a tremendous advice. And it says, if you don't know the way, look to the sages. They knew the way. They followed the Torah. So if we take this advice and we apply it for what we need as women, we will find that the Torah has laid out a number of examples of what it is to be a woman of valor. Now, as many of you know, I had suffered some years ago with some very serious health problems, and a part of that was that I was experiencing this cluster of strokes, if you will. And I remember during my research and my efforts to get well, and thank God with HaShem's help, I was successful. But there was this study that showed that the brain really will make new pathways for whatever you tell it to do. But something that the brain does not like is something unfamiliar. So now this narrative, which had become so familiar, to tell myself and erase it, to give it another narrative, to give my brain another narrative, it was something that it seemed very foreign and almost as if I was rejecting it because I myself didn't want a new narrative. I was comfortable with the old narrative. So the way that I had to really change this narrative is to really delve into the stories of all the women and investigate, truly investigate what it means to be that person that Hashem made me and really desired for me to be, which is the end is what we all are striving for. We are all striving to be that best version of ourselves. But part of that is replacing that old narrative and giving your mind a new narrative, which is the only true narrative that comes from the Torah. Once you do that, then you're able to find a woman's worth. You can follow this series, A Woman's Worth by Devorah Esther, on YouTube at Gimel Dalet 777. Click subscribe to be notified. If you've enjoyed this video or know someone who would, please share it. Sikul Mitzvot.